I wish I knew this earlier, but the federal government has an entire system of tools that helps veterans find government contracts. And here's been my experience so far. So I'm trying to win a contract with the federal government to provide therapy services for veterans because I want to do a program where veterans get therapy for free, and therapy that's specifically designed for veterans and the veteran transition experience out of the military. The first thing that was recommended to me that's been very helpful is a SCORE mentor. So SCORE mentors are free. They're paid for by the state and federal government, I believe. I'm not sure what their exact funding is, but they're free, and they're a business owner who's usually retired or at the end of their career, and they're working with SCORE as a volunteer to just provide consultation and mentorship to business owners. A lot of people with small businesses or startups use them, but they can be a really good sounding board and help you think through different problems because they've been there and they've done that. SCORE doesn't get anybody who hasn't owned a business themselves or has been in a key executive role. And they also try to match you with somebody who's doing something similar. So I was doing individual therapy and coaching and consulting, and they matched with people who had a history in consulting and marketing. The next thing that I think is really valuable are Apex counselors. So Apex counselors are specifically designed for people trying to find government contracts. They're not just for veterans, but the thing about Apex is that they're very good at helping veterans understand all the resources that are available to them. So there's a couple of things to know when it comes to veterans and contracts. The federal government sets aside money specifically for veterans to win business. So it's money that's going to go to contracts, and it will only go to contracts that are by veteran-owned businesses. So there is the veteran-owned business designation, which is VOB, I think D, and then there's a service disabled veteran designation. So if you have any level of service connected disability with your service, then you get that designation. And that means there's contract money out there that the government has set aside specifically for you. So you're in a very small pool because only people who own businesses are veterans and has had a service connected disability can win that contract. And then say you're a veteran, but you don't have a disability, there's still money set aside for veterans who own businesses and have been in the military. So that's the thing that the Apex coordinator knows very, very well. And they'll walk you through how to fill out your application step by step because they can be really complicated. The next thing is SAM.gov. So this is a very daunting application to sign, but that's where you win federal contracts. You go on there, you search for contracts, and you bid for them. The application process to it is very complicated. The bidding process can be very complicated. And you also usually need to start as a subcontractor before you get a prime contract, just to prove that you have some experience. This is, again, where the Apex coordinator comes in handy because the Apex coordinator will go online with you. You can share your screen and they'll walk you step by step on how to fill out those contracts. And they'll also help you be an expert searcher because a big thing when it comes to government contracts is being very proficient at searching for the right contract for you. You have to put in the right codes, you have to put in the right search terms, you have to put in the right notifications so that you know when things are coming up because there's hundreds of thousands of contracts available. The next thing that was introduced to me but I didn't really find useful is the Small Business Development Center. So this, I think, is hit or miss. It really depends on your counselor. I'm in Arizona. I got introduced to the Small Business Development Center. They are meant to help small business owners understand how to start their businesses and grow their businesses. When I met with them the first time, they really didn't have anything for me. They didn't know who to introduce me to. They couldn't tell me anything about marketing. They couldn't give me any advice. The people who are your counselors there have not really owned businesses themselves. I met with my SCORE mentor again and told him about my experience, and he educated me on how to use a Small Business Development Center. The SBDC has a big storage of databases, so they know where all the grant money in your state and in the country goes. They have a database for all of that. They have a database for who's winning what contracts, and they can connect you with that. I haven't met with my SBDC counselor since I scheduled another appointment, But when it comes to the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, you want to use the resources that they have. The counselors themselves don't know a lot about business, but the resources that they have and that they can connect you with is really good. And by resources, I mean databases that you can search so that you know where government money is going, so that you can go to those businesses and ask to be a subcontractor so that you can develop your resume and prove to the government that you've done at least subcontract work, and then you can work your way to getting small contracts. And that's kind of how it goes. You get smaller contracts, and then you get bigger and bigger contracts as you go down. So that's the experience so far that I've had. I would highly recommend getting an Apex counselor, getting a SCORE counselor, getting your application on SAM.gov filled out, and using your Apex counselor to help you with that. There should be one everywhere in the state that you're at.